So lately, I've been getting into handheld benchmarking, and I figured that I should make a video series about it, comparing the Ally X and the Steam Deck, running different games across different operating systems like Windows, Bazzite, Nobara. For the first game in this series, I thought it would be cool to test one of my favorite franchises, Streets of Rage. We're gonna see how the Ally X and the Steam Deck handle Streets of Rage 4. Here's how I'll be testing. All tests will be performed on a level called the Streets. The benchmarking will start as soon as the stage begins and will end when the final score is given. This way, I can get consistent and more accurate comparisons between the Ally X and the Steam Deck. Streets of Rage has a native Linux version, which is being used in this chart that we're about to see. I've got more charts that I'm going to bring up later on that's going to have a more in-depth look at how the game performs with other configurations. For now, let's focus on what the numbers look like when you install and play the game, with the only variable being the Ally X TDP setting set to turbo. The average FPS and the frame times look very similar, so let's go ahead and filter those out, and we'll look at the 1% and the 0.1% lows, so we can see that on the Ally X, it seems to run better on Windows overall. I ran multiple tests to make sure we got the clearest results possible, just sticking to installing and playing the game. So we can see that the 0.1% lows across the board for Linux are lower, but I didn't really find any stuttering or like lagging issues. I believe this is more of the screen transitions when you're moving from one section of a level to another. Everything felt fine. Every single run I did, I didn't really find anything at all that was wrong. But it just seems to be a common trend. Even when you run Proton, that we're going to look on in other charts, I have Proton GE that I went ahead and put in, and I just still had low 0.1% lows no matter how many times I ran the test. So let's move on to those charts. You can go ahead and see how the LCD and the OLED Steam Deck went ahead and performed. With the LCD deck running Nobara, I used the latest GE Proton 911, and I took out 20 millivolts from the SoC and the CPU. Then I cut down the TDP to 7 watts in order to see how it would perform under low wattage conditions. Once again, the average FPS and average frame time is very similar, so we're going to go ahead and filter those out again, so we can go ahead and look at the 0.1 and the 1% lows. So after performing the tests and cutting down the TDP and changing the version of Proton to the latest one, I still had different levels of low 0.1%, but it still ran fine. I didn't have any issues with it playing at 7 TDP. The game was able to run perfectly. I think this has to do something with transitions, but I didn't notice any lag. It felt fine. It felt completely playable. I don't think there's any problem here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the OLED chart. So once again, the 1% lows were lower on Linux. However, I did run into a little bit of an issue with the undervolts and the 7 TDP on GE 911. There was a slight bit of stuttering that you could see, but it was very rare in my tests. And maybe I got it like 2 or 3 times to get to that 0.1% low. But it was very playable, worked very good. I didn't really see any reason that you couldn't play it on 7 TDP if you wanted to go ahead and save battery power. So let's move on to the Ally X and let's take a look at how that worked. In the end, the best results were the Ally X on Windows. I'm not sure why on Bazzite the silent profile was coming out so low compared to the other ones. That's what happened with the TDP. I did multiple tests. I kept getting very similar results, so I kept it like that. Streets of Rage runs fine across the board, across all handhelds. So let me know in the comments if you liked the video, if you want to see different types of benchmarks. Like I said, this is a new series, testing it out, looking for feedback, see if anyone wants to see anything on different operating systems that the Steam Deck and the Ally X can run. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video.